Hello guys, and welcome to a new video. This one is gonna be a little bit different. I want to share with you my recent experience of doing a little DIY solitude retreat that was inspired by Vipassana retreats. And I just want to share the story and experience in the hopes of inspiring you to seek a little bit more presence, a little bit more awareness and stillness in your life. What is a Vipassana retreat? A Vipassana retreat is usually a 10-day silence retreat where participants are obliged to stay silent through the whole duration of the 10-day retreat. And they focus mainly on meditating. They spend up to 10 hours per day in meditation, specifically a Vipassana meditation that focuses on the breath. The whole goal of this retreat is to train the mind so that it focuses on observing without reactivity, which allows for you to become more self-aware. And therefore it reduces the feeling of suffering. My retreat, my DIY retreat, was inspired by the Vipassana, but I did lay different ground rules because I was just in a completely different setting. I was not in an actual retreat, but more about this later. First, I want to share with you a little bit about the backstory of why I even did this whole experiment or challenge, or however you want to call it. From my early 20s, I would sporadically be having depressive episodes. It started with seasonal affective disorder and then gradually just kind of progressed into overall depression. The majority of my 20s and 30s, how I would cope with it is to basically try and avoid it as much as possible by distracting myself. I would pretty much do anything just to not be alone. Like, solitude was not my friend, okay? When you are alone with your thoughts, you can spiral very fast when you're prone to being depressed. So I would do anything in my power just to not be alone. And even when I was traveling, like, I would always seek people, I would always find people. I was partying all the time. I was just hanging out on every possible occasion just to not stay at home by myself and dwell on my thoughts. So solitude was something that I feared and avoided at all costs. So imagine when I first heard someone tell me their experience of a Vipassana retreat, I literally thought to myself, you have to be crazy to go and do that. And if you're not crazy before, you're definitely gonna get crazy while you're there, because to me it sounded like the worst possible scenario I could be in. It sounded like prison. But then the more I heard about it and the more I personally grew, because I went, like, in these, let's say, past 4 years through a major spiritual and also just like personal transformation. Like, my mindset changed completely and I have not had any depressive episodes for more than 3 years, 3.5 years now. So you can imagine this idea slowly grew on me. The more I learned and understood my depression, the more I healed, the better I became at being alone. And I didn't only start to enjoy, but I really started craving the solitude, because that was when I could really, like, reflect and work on myself. So here we are today, when I'm finally ready on doing like these Vipassana silent solitude retreats, but I'm far away from any possibility of doing it. But when I arrived to this property where I am now, the idea just spread. Was like, okay, this is the perfect place and time when I can really unplug from all the distractions and do a little DIY solitude Vipassana retreat. So here are some ground rules on how I did just that. First of all, you need a quiet, peaceful place where you can be alone. So I'm on this property by myself. I have the whole house and the whole land to myself. No distractions, no people around me except in the village if I want them. So I can be completely alone and quiet here. Perfect, that's checked. No distractions, which means no phone, no laptop, no books, no music, no talking. I have to say I did talk to myself a little bit. I guess that's allowed because there's no one else around. So yeah, the most important thing was that my phone for 4 days was on airplane mode. So I told people beforehand that I'm not gonna be reachable for the next 3-4 days. A few other things that usually are not in the classic Vipassana, but I still had to cook for myself. I still had to water the garden because this is why I'm at this property. This is my task here. This is why they allowed me to be alone in this house. So I did water the garden every evening. I allowed myself to journal every morning and every evening just so that I could process the thoughts and set some intentions and things like that. I did do a few tiny chores, but I said no big tasks, so like no big work, no, doing a big laundry load or cleaning the house or none of that. Cleaning the dishes, that was it. I did also allow myself one walk per day just so that I move my body a little bit because otherwise I would just be in a hammock all day, and yeah, you need to stretch. So I did go out of the property every morning for a little walk around, and I did also some stretching, some yoga every day just to keep my body strong. And when it comes to food, I would be preparing healthy, fresh food for all my meals, and there was no alcohol involved. So I think these were more or less my ground rules. And as far as intentions go, like why I'm doing this, I'm just gonna read what I wrote in my journal before starting this. So my intentions for this DIY Vipassana self-solitude retreat was to spend more time in stillness and presence without any distractions, to face my fears and programming, to rest, to heal, to go inwards, to notice, to deepen my awareness, to be more conscious about my thoughts, to simply be and exist in this time and space, to deepen my connection with myself and the world around me, to challenge myself, to let go, and most importantly, to just enjoy. So just roughly how my everyday looked like, so I don't repeat myself because it was pretty much the same. I would wake up in the morning. Now I wouldn't know exactly when I woke up because the only clock I had was on my phone, which was tucked away, so I only relied on the sun. But let's say every day I would wake up around 8 o'clock. I would do my meditations and my affirmations while still in bed. I would then wake up, I would have my lemon water, and I would go out for a little walk, maybe like half an hour. After that, I would come back and make myself a little breakfast, and then pretty much for the next, let's say 2 hours or until lunchtime, I would lay in a hammock or go on some other spot here around the house and do my contemplation, meditation, thinking, whatever you want to call it. But I would just be completely still, undistracted, and just do my thing. After that, I would make myself lunch. I would usually spend a little bit more time just resting. I would take a siesta. I did have a nap every afternoon for, who knows, maybe an hour or two, after which again I would wake up and again do my meditation. I would just practice awareness, do different affirmations, and that until dinner time. I would make myself dinner and then water the garden. After that, I would again rest a little bit, meditate, and then go to sleep at, let's say, I don't know, probably 10-ish. And that was pretty much how all of the days looked like. But to just go a little bit step by step what happened internally, I want to take you day by day. Day one passed fairly easily and quickly. I didn't really think of my phone or doing anything in particular to distract myself. I did, however, want to check like some facts every once in a while. just having questions like, I don't know, what time does the moon rise today? That was a little bit like, oh wow, like I cannot get any information, so it's really no distractions, no input of whatsoever. I just have to rely on my senses, trying to interpret the environment around me. I spend most of the day in the hammock just thinking different things. I did focus on some specific things, like letting go of some emotions that I think are holding me back. So I did think of my relationships and if there are any feelings or emotions or events, situations that, you know, just creep up on me and I want to release. So I did focus on that a lot. But otherwise I would just be like thinking different things, but trying to be aware of what I was thinking. So I would focus a lot on just positive things. I felt a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation for where I am in my life and where I am like right now. Something unexpected did happen on day one. I didn't really think that already day one after lunch I would be crying. I did have like a happy cry. I was thinking of my family and especially of my little brother, who in just a few weeks is traveling alone to Japan. And for anyone who knows my family and the story, they would understand that that's like a really big thing. And I just felt really proud, and even now just thinking I'm like getting really emotional, but I felt really proud of my brother and how far he had come. I felt a lot of love for him and my family specifically because they've been so supportive throughout my whole life. Yeah, that was one moment of day one that felt like a little, not a breakthrough, but just yeah, just a nice moment. I already realized just how big of a distraction social media is. I mean, we all know that, but I realized some measures that I could take. So I was just thinking how I can minimize the effect of it. And yeah, I will surely be deleting some apps and definitely unfollowing things, unfollowing people or muting them, and just because honestly, I don't need to know everything that everyone does. It's too much information. I think one thing that is really impacting us in a negative way, us, I mean the society, all the people, is just how much information that is unnecessary we consume. And if you want it or not, that's gonna affect you. Just think about 100 years ago, the information that reached you on a daily basis was nothing compared to these days. You maybe learned something that was happening in your village or your town, your region, but that's about it. Now it's like, you know what everyone has for every meal of every day, where what everyone is thinking, saying, doing. You know all the accidents that happen, everything negative, all the wars, everything. You know everything, and it's just too much for a mind to process. I already don't consume a lot, like especially when it comes to news, but I was just thinking like I still like more than half of what I'm already consuming I don't need, so that's good. That's gotta go. That's going. And for the rest, I just really enjoyed observing the environment around me. I spend a lot of time just looking at how the wind is moving the trees and the butterflies and the bees and the birds and everything. So it felt like I was more present than usual, which is kind of what this whole point was. So I would say that day one was very successful. Day two, I found it a little bit harder, especially the being still and not doing anything. I felt a little bit more restless and just kind of like didn't know what to do with myself. And so I would be just like walking around the property a little bit and trying to find a spot that would calm me down or like soothe me for the time being. I still spent a lot of time in the hammock. It's literally my favorite place on this property. I also felt like I dealt with some of the thoughts and some of the emotions the previous day, so I kind of didn't have anything in particular that I wanted to work on. So yeah, it just felt a little bit, okay, like what am I even doing here? But once that thought arose that like I had something to grab on, so I started thinking of, yeah, like what am I actually doing here? Why am I in Bulgaria? Why am I doing this solitude thing? Why am I doing YouTube? How to continue doing YouTube? Like I said in some previous videos, I do feel like I need to change some things. It doesn't feel as rewarding or as natural or as energizing as I wish it would. Like YouTube felt very draining in the last couple of months. So I was thinking a lot about how I want to change, how I want to proceed, like what is the mission, what is the why behind all of it, like how can I bring value, how can I make content that actually matters, how I can share my stories. So this video is kind of like a reflection of that as well. Also, as it was the full moon on that day, and actually the previous day was the Lion's Gate 8/8, so that's why I was on day one focusing more on also like affirming things and manifesting things. And then on day two, I was like, okay, I need to make a ritual of some sort of letting go all these emotions that I was processing yesterday and all these thoughts and all the patterns and beliefs and everything that is holding me back. I did also think a little bit of how I approach life and like what are some of the personal things that I want to focus on in the future. As far as my spiritual and personal growth goes, because I've done so much work in the past. I had a little bit of a pause now because yeah, working on yourself can tire you out and sometimes you just need to like let things go and unfold however. And so that was kind of like the thought of I just need to let go and surrender to life a little bit more. I'm in the process of doing so, and even this house hunting has been teaching me how to do that, and I want to go even a step further. And I thought about, okay, what could that next step be? And I think it's a lot about how to approach people, situations, places with more love and acceptance and openness. And it just dawned to me that, yeah, of course, like you have to start with yourself. You cannot really be loving, especially in hard situations or with people who, you know, you might think they don't deserve that, but everybody deserves love no matter what. So that starts with you internally, and then once you reach that point, you can kind of spread it across to other areas outside of yourself, I guess is what I want to say. Less judgment, more acceptance, more love, not fear. That was kind of the lesson or the breakthrough of day two. Day three is when I actually finally start being bored. And I say finally because for the last I don't know how many years I've been dreaming about the day when I finally get bored. For me, boredom, that like childhood kind of boredom, is when ideas and creativity really have the space and time to flourish. And I felt like in the recent years my creativity was really suffering. I really enjoyed the feeling of being bored, and at the same time I felt like I'm finally in this deep resting state, because after my burnout experience I just feel like I don't have the same level of energy anymore, and I get tired very easily Well, actually, I just have this underlying feeling of tiredness present pretty much all the time. Being able to just be still, do nothing, not occupy my mind all the time with to-dos and, whatever. I feel like my body, my mind, my nervous system, like really, really rested during this period. And I really started feeling that on day 3. I did also have feelings of like, what are we all doing here? What is the meaning of it all? The best answer I could come up with is we are all here to be fully ourselves, and that's it. What it means is you, as the most authentic you, are enough. You don't have to do anything or prove anything to anyone that your existence is worthy. So I was thinking how, as children, we are that, and then basically through our programming, they destroy who we are in our essence. You go through adolescence and your early adulthood trying to fit in and to be someone else, to adapt to society. You lose yourself, and then you come to a point in your life, usually like midlife crisis, where you don't even know who you are and why you're here and what the hell you're doing, and you kind of start to work on dissolving this whole programming and trying to like find yourself again. Yeah, that was an interesting chain of thought, I would say. I also in the evening started to feel a little bit anxious, I guess, about what is gonna come out of this and how I'm gonna go back to normal life, because I truly felt like this whole experience was a blessing, and I was so grateful that I had the opportunity to unplug for 3 days, 4 days, because a lot of people don't have that. And so I was just starting to think about, okay, how I'm gonna assimilate back. It's just 3-4 days, but still, like, it felt, I could drag this on for a long time and just live in my blissful ignorance and be happy here. But the real world is outside there, and boy oh boy did day 4 prove me just that. And we have arrived to final day, day number 4, which was kind of intended to ease back into normal life. I took the morning easy, slow, very intentional, being in stillness, being still present, being aware. So everything I was doing for the previous 3 days, I still did my morning the same. After lunch is the first time when I actually checked my phone and saw that it's 3 p.m., which I really did not expect. When I wanted to do my siesta, I think I was overstimulated already with the thought of like just plugging back in. So a bit after 4, I finally took my phone off of airplane mode and started to go through my emails and messages and things like that. And to my very unpleasant surprise, I was hit with a lot of negative input and unnecessary noise, unnecessary commentary. What happened was, in the 4 days that I was absent, 2 of my YouTube videos went live, and they both gained quite a lot of traction, got like thousands of views and a lot of comments. And a lot of those comments were very negative. It's okay, I usually just let it pass and ignore it. But when you read it all at once, it's a lot to take in. Let's just say that. Because a lot of it was just, I don't know, plain nasty, unnecessary, just very unconstructive. Of course, you cannot help but take it personally. We're all human. My first reaction was I was upset and I felt attacked and I felt sad. And yeah, my ego was definitely suffering. But then I kind of remembered what this whole experience was for. all the, let's say, lessons or insights that I got during these 3-4 days, everything that came up kind of had to do with how I'm handling this situation now. Everything that I thought about being authentic, practicing self-love, and then applying that love to everyone and everything around me, which basically means accepting things but not judging them in the negative way. It felt like universe was testing me in a way, if I'm really capable to apply all these insights and practice love, what I thought was my next step in this like evolution or this transformation that I'm going through. So yeah, this felt like a big challenge that I'm now facing, like straight after doing this. Even if my initial thought was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna somehow block comments or like shut them off completely, and or not do these YouTube things anymore, or not put my Instagram public. Like that was my initial reaction. Of course, like shut it down. Like I don't need this unnecessary noise and negativity in my life. But then, yeah, I thought, okay, this is not the way it goes. This is exactly the opposite of what I was just experiencing in these 3-4 days and what came up for me. I feel like this is a chance to really express myself even more, even in a more authentic way, be even more loving and caring, and put out even more value and what I think is purposeful and meaningful for me. If my mission is to inspire people, then basically this is my best chance. My creativity, my work is now YouTube. I don't really do anything else. So this is my channel, how I channel my creativity and how I channel my mission, my purpose, my value. This is it. My only job here is to stay me and to do things that feel right for me, and basically hope that there's people out there who resonate with this, who resonate with my message, who resonate with my story, and also how I deliver things. And yeah, basically this was like the whole takeaway of the whole experience, all 3-4 days. Now, I know it wasn't as spiritual as usual these Vipassana retreats are, because you are really committing yourself to meditation and to presence throughout the whole day. And for me, I was still doing different tasks. I wasn't meditating for 10 hours every day, but I still feel like the value of this was that I got these insights that prepared me for the challenge that came straight after. And I really, really deeply rested. Like I really realized just how noisy my headspace can be from social media and all the rest of it. So definitely changes are gonna be made. And I just hope that this inspires you in some way to maybe consider something similar. I'm super, super glad I did it. I still want to do a classic 10-day Vipassana retreat somewhere, and when the universe is gonna send that opportunity to me, I'm gonna grab it with both hands. But now I just kind of got that reassurance that, you know, I can sit still for 3-4 days and I'm gonna enjoy it. And that's important to know that fact, you know? So if you have any questions about this whole experience, please comment below. If you want to know more about my journey, my experience with depression and how I healed it, I'm gonna link this video so you can watch that as well. And as always, thank you so much for being here, for supporting this channel and my journey. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.